Balakun, a bridge to Ukraine. Join the conversation at balakun.org.
Балакун – міст в Україну. Приєднуйтесь до наших розмов на www.balakun.org.
Please subscribe.
The topic is diversity in Army Force of Ukraine. We wanted to focus on the LGBTQ movement in Ukraine itself, and just to have it conversational.
Thank you so much, guys. It's so good to have you here. I don't know why I'm a bit nervous because I've talked to you guys before all the time.
Don't worry. I think I'm nervous more than you, so everything is fine.
You guys haven't a problem with English, and I don't understand why you are nervous.
I think your English is much better than we met already. So you do really good job.
Boris has been talking too much German lately, so he's forgetting how to speak English.
Yeah.
The first thing I wanted to say is I have to give credit to Boris, because it was your tweet that I knew about Balakun. I just saw your tweet that there was a project, and it happened that I would
Really?
become the first registered student. Yeah, it was your tweet. So
Oh my God.
thank you so much for bringing it to the public.
Wow. It's so unexpected.
We might have some listeners who may not be following you on Twitter yet. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you were doing before 2022 versus now.
I was a manager of a non-government organization, and I work against gender-based violence in Ukraine, and I work in the shelter, and I work with women who use drugs and sex workers, and women who have HIV. And I was PhD student and do some research and work in organization like UN Women. And when this big war starts, I understand I don't need to work against gender-based violence and stop this violence when Russian go to rape this woman to death, and it's one place. All activists need to be. It's only in the army.
And Boris?
Okay, before the February of 2022, I was head of one of the biggest human rights projects in Ukraine, which support LGBTQI rights. We provided free legal aid to all key communities, but we focused on LGBTQI. So we make some law project, advocacy work for this community, and many activities to support this community in Ukraine. Also, I worked in some volunteered in analytic center, which make reports about current situation in Belarus and Russia, in their politics and what they do, and we make analytics reports for Ukraine about what's happening in these countries. And also, I finished my master's degree in journalistics couple of weeks before the invasion, and in general I live with my best life, traveling, do sport, and do all stuff what gay usually do in their life.
And since 2022, you've both been working as medics?
I wasn't a medic. In general I had three education. My first education, it's medical education, it's called culture, but it's something untranslatable. It's like emergency doctor, something like that. My second education is clinical psychology, and last one, it's master's degree in journalistics. So before the invasion, I don't do medical work because I was a head of project, so I do more manager work. But I had medical skills because I was volunteer in the Revolution of Dignity. I volunteered medical stuff, and after that, I go to east of Ukraine when the invasion began in 2014. and teach people to tactical medicine and all this stuff. So I already had some experience before, but I never was in army or something like that before invasion.
And I haven't any medical education. I have education like psychologist, and after I have a master's degree on the social works, and but I go to the army, and I was senior combat medic on the fire support company on the territorial defense battalion, and I work like medic. In Ukrainian army, we have some gender stereotypes about women, and when it started, it was high level. Now it's low level, but it's still like women can be in the army on the war only like paper stuff or combat medic, or it's can be work on the kitchen or with drones. I don't want to work with paper. I can work in the kitchen because anyone eats it, and I don't have a technical education. I can break every drones with my hand, and I have only one choice, only medicine.
Yeah. You told me once you didn't want a drone because you struggled with changing the battery in the remote.
Yeah, it's true.
So has that perception of what people of different genders do in the army, has that changed in the last 2 years, 2.5 years?
It changed a lot, but it's still not enough for like gender equality in the Ukrainian army, because a lot of people who now on a high position in army, like I don't know, some colonel and higher, they still had like extremely Soviet Union mentality. So they still does respect like women in the army, and I see this many times in many units when like the chief of that units like discriminate in some way women who service in this unit. I don't know. For example, the commander in my unit when I served, he was extremely sexist, and we have a couple of girls who really won't go to front line, and he do everything to don't allow they to go, because he said like front line it's not a place for women or something like that. But from the other side, all the time he said like, why you speak about gender equality? Did you see any woman on front line? And like he don't allow women to go to front line. And from another side, he used this situation like an argument against gender equality.
For now, we still don't have any women's underwear in Ukrainian army, panties and bra, you know. But last year, we have a first uniform for women in Ukrainian army, and it's changed situation, and I think it's good. Not because it's so necessary. I think in the war on the front line, you know, you can buy something or you can use a men's uniform. It's not so necessary like cars or drones or weapons, but it's important for gender equality.
Is it still important that these are addressed now, or do you think they can be addressed later?
I think it's extremely important because like I think this situation in Ukraine now with gender equality like in terms of serving in army, Like what I mean now, like the men in Ukraine have a lot of restricted because they can't leave country. They must to service in army. Like they must die. They feel like this. Like even in army, when you service, you see the commanders usually send women to to the staff or to make some paperwork, and I think it will be so bad for women rights after the war because a lot of like men and people say it's like okay, like women don't serving in army, why they should have the same level of rights, something like that. But it will be so bad for women after the war because it will be so hard to advocate women rights and gender equality in country when women here still can live in like their best life, traveling and do all of this stuff, and men like closer in the country and must to service an army. So yeah, I think it's so bad.
And a different side of that, do you see discrimination towards people who are gay as well, or is that less obvious, or is it still a big problem?
I was on the unit, like territorial defense unit, ordinary, and I don't see it because we was in very bad situation. We was like family, and after first few months, we work like a family, and if it's a good guy who work with unit, everyone, I don't know, don't see about gay or not gay or something another.
Yeah, I found the same perception. Like I wasn't in coming out when the invasion began, and I made this like kind of coming out when the invasion began because like for a lot of diplomats from the Western country, this topic was so important. So I may coming out to make like incredibly a lot of interview about "Hi, I'm gay, I'm in Ukrainian army, and if you want to support LGBTQI rights in Ukraine, send rockets and artillery to Ukraine. If you want to support gay, send tanks and something like that, and it's like works really good. Um, and like first time I was afraid about this because I said like, oh my God, I'm in army and I make interview for like CNN and NBC and BBC about my orientation. But in general, everything was fine. Like my commander know I am gay. Like everyone in my unit know I am gay. But it like I didn't feel any discrimination all the time what I was in unit. And also in place when I serve now with Alina, it's like not a good example because it's not a typical unit, but I'm also like not a closer gay and everything is fine.
I know a bad situation about bad situation in some don't units who work on the front line, like paper units or I don't know, learning center, and maybe some marines units, and people have a problem. But in my experience, I don't see, and I have a friend and my guy of my unit. He was open bisexual, and he have any problem.
Yeah, but probably I'm not sure because I doesn't know, but probably if you service in Azov, you can be open gay or something like that.
I think in unit like my unit, ordinary, it's like the same like in social, but like society, but in the army you have another problem, you know? You have a big, big problem, and because of this problem, you need to be united with your colleagues, with another soldier, and it's very important things. And I very like it's this feeling this situation, because it's like all Боря, це як те, в що я вірю все життя, що люди мають, що це не важливо наші відмінності, важливо те, що ми робимо разом.
Okay, it doesn't matter how different we are when we on front line. I think Alina means this. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this in general LGBTQ military organization? Became rather viral on Western media.
We have one big organization, LGBT military, and it's really like work, and it's really united some Ukrainian soldier, lesbian. It's have some part of for the lesbian, some part for the gay, and some part for the transgender, and something for these people. And I think it's important because they have a strong relationships with another organization, human rights organization, on the all the world. And it's like about Ukraine, not only about LGBT military. It's like Borys say when this invasion was started. He speak, you need to support Ukraine because you need to support human rights and gay and this kind of thing.
Yeah, and what are the goals of this organization?
It's like a human rights organization, and they want to speak about how important to support Ukraine, because you support not only this country, but you support human rights on the whole world. And it's a first war where we big war, where we can see how gays and lesbians can to be a soldier, because we don't know many person on the second or first world war who was lesbian or gay, because in that time they don't be open gay, but now we know, and it's important.
One other issue that's come up, there was some negative effects on the spouse of someone who's serving in the army.
Like we have some law project for a civil union, which like all LGBTQI organization try to advocate to pass this like law, to pass this bill through parliament. So from this point of view, it looks like it's any chance to be allowed for this moment, but we still try to do some advocacy for make it real.
As we have many listeners from Ukraine also, could you please tell the importance of this law and of the civil partnerships, why it's crucial? Because I don't think that everyone understands the urgency of this question.
Yeah, it's extremely important for LGBTQI community in Ukraine, because like when you have partner, even we have like couples of people who both service in army and they fighting for this country for our freedom, and they still having the same level of rights what like straight people had in Ukraine, and it's really affect to your life, because for example, like many things in Ukraine you can do for your partner. You can do just when you have marriage or some kind of legal registration of your relationship, and it's like it's impossible to gay couples, and it's affected to many areas of your life. And if you speak about context of war, for example, if your partner die on the front line, you haven't any mortal rights for them, like you can't like affected to the ceremony or something like that. Also, for example, the government if you die on front line, the government pay like a lot of money for your family, and its option it doesn't work for gay couples too. And even if you, for example, be injured on the front line and be in reanimation or something like that, your partner legally can't come to you because it's option which like open just for family members. But if you are a gay couple, you not have family members in legal way.
And what's the progress so far with this law? Because there are some lawmakers who are pro this law and some who are very against this law, and I guess that it's an orthodox lobby that's one of those who is against this law.
The current situation is like Inna Hobson, the deputy of Ukrainian parliament, she write a law project which now in parliament, in the parliament procedure, like, but sorry, it's my English. It's not enough to subscribe such a hard topic. It's in process. Like in Ukraine, when you have some law project, its whole project should to pass through like more than 10 committees, and every committee should to say like yes or no before this whole project go to the parliament for voting. And the situation now, this whole project passed like 4 or 5 committees, and all of them said yes, and it's stuck for that moment, like just stuck, like nothing happening with this whole project. He not accept, he not like going somewhere, he just stuck in this whole.
Is it a political will or some other consequences of this?
Ukraine is like really orthodox country with a lot of people who have who had conservative values, and of course like its topic is extremely triggering for for a lot of Ukrainians. So I think the problem is like no one want to take responsibility about this law because it's not so popular decision. They do this for a political reason because they don't want to vote in for this, because if they don't accept this law, like our Western allies, they say it like, you are fighting for democracy, for freedom, but you don't accept this law project. What is the problem? And also they can't say yes for this law project because like people inside country, a lot of people will be so angry, so they decide just to like stuck it in the law.
So despite the petition, the presidential petition, and despite the not the decision, but the call to do something with the social civil partnerships that was made by president, regardless, there's no progress in it, right?
Yeah, it's not a progress. Yeah.
So we just can say that it's a lack of political will for that, and unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuck. Yeah. It seems like a much bigger issue than just the army, to be frank.
Yeah, but the urgency is for army right now, not for everything else.
For people who've never been in the army or had anything to do with the army, it can be a little bit intimidating about what you should and shouldn't talk about. And obviously some of them are really obvious, but I just wondered if you guys have had any insights for us about things that you should and shouldn't ask someone who is serving.
I think you can describe all of them, and we can only ask to be more humanity. But if people have any humanity, we don't can teach them it. You know, it's a many thousand ways to be disturbed, to be a bad person for some veterans. You know, it's only one true way to be humanity and think about people around you and speak with them like ordinary people and think about another people like this. It's not like another kind of people. It's people like you, but they have a very bad experience in the front line on or in the war, and maybe it's something about honor, and you can be only humanity for with them.
I'm totally agree with Alina.
And finally, the last thing we wanted to talk about was for you guys personally, why is, despite all of the things that are going on, despite all of the stresses that you're dealing with, why was it important for you to keep up with or to improve speaking English at this time?
Oh, it's interesting story about you, Sandy. Last summer I was in the front line and many of my friends are going to die, and one girl on the Twitter sent me a text message, and she sent me a message, you can start to learn English with me. And I think it's insane idea, because it's not for me for now, because I can't read in the at this time. I was in a very bad situation, and I can learn last summer. But she sent me a message, you can change time of our meeting, and I really want to do it, and we can try. And I say okay, because it was very hard for me to speak about it and say no. And I say okay, and after we start, I understand it's not about English, it's about hope, because last summer I don't think I have a future, and I don't think I have a tomorrow. But when we start, it's like it was like a play, on the board, when I have a future. And in real world, I have a future, and I sit today and I speak English, and it's improved me. It's give me something very important in my life.
But in general, I studied English because it make you really open mind, and it's impossible to understand like another culture, another people, or another country without knowledge English. Also, like for example, it's important for any like part of your life, and even tactical medicine. You can be a good combat medic without knowledge English, because like all new research, all new like I don't know procedure protocols, it's all written in English, and it's like take a long time for be translated to Ukraine. So like I have many reasons for do this.
we're getting more more and more people apply who are in the armed forces, which is interesting as well.
How many people do you have now?
In total, there's 450 matches, so that's 450 students with a mentor.
150?
450.
And it looks like you had an empire
I know.
of teaching English.
An international society.
It's true. It's true.
And from the military, around 50.
It's really odd. It's really odd.
Is there anything else you guys want to discuss for?
I can say just send more weapons to Ukraine. Everyone who can send anything, send more money and more weapons.
And if you haven't any money and any weapon, you can send your hugs, your texting support, and your love for Ukraine.
Okay, happy end. Do, do, do.